Help me.
Those whispered words changed everything. It was a cold winter night in Nashville, Tennessee, and James didn't expect to find a young woman unconscious on his doorstep. Messy blonde hair, clubbing clothes, her body shivering with cold, and that lost look in her eyes as she whispered for help. He didn't know that by opening that door he was about to relive his own story, and that this stranger would become the most important person in his life. A story about second chances, about finding God in the most unexpected places, and about how an act of compassion can transform two lives forever. So subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment on where you're watching from, and let's get to the story. James was 38 years old and had lived alone in that house for exactly 1 year. A house that had once been full of laughter, Sunday breakfasts, plans, and dreams. But Sarah, his wife, had passed away. Cancer. 15 years of marriage, and suddenly, silence. The walls now echoed only their prayers, and the sound of the TV was on just to numb the emptiness. That Friday, around 11 o'clock at night, James was finishing reading a psalm when he heard a strange noise outside. It sounded like someone dragging their feet, stumbling. He slowly got up, went to the window, and pulled back the curtain. Outside, in the dim light of the lamppost, he saw a figure stumbling toward his door. When she opened the door, the cold bit her face. And there, leaning against the doorframe, she was. A young woman, perhaps 24 years old, in a short dress totally inappropriate for that Nashville winter. Blonde hair falling over her pale face, smudged makeup, half-closed eyes. She tried to speak, but her voice barely came out. "Help me, please, help me." James felt his heart clench. He didn't think twice. He gently held her by the shoulders, feeling her body tremble violently.
Hey, are you okay?
"What happened?" She didn't answer. Her legs gave way and James caught her before she fell. Carefully, he lifted her in his arms. She was light, fragile, and carried her inside. He closed the door with his foot and took her straight to the living room sofa. "Oh my God, you're freezing." He ran to the room and grabbed a thick blanket, returned and covered her. He turned on the heater and knelt beside her, trying to understand what was happening. There were no visible injuries, but she seemed exhausted, almost unconscious. The smell of alcohol was strong. "Miss, can you hear me? Do I need to call an ambulance?" She shook her head slowly as if to say no. Her eyes closed again. James stood there watching. Part of him thought about calling the police, but something inside him, perhaps Sarah's voice, perhaps God's voice, told him to wait. He brought water, placed it on the coffee table, and sat in the armchair opposite, keeping watch. He prayed softly, asking for wisdom. The young woman slept through the night. James barely managed to close his eyes. He stayed there, reading the Bible, glancing at her occasionally, making sure she was breathing. At 6 in the morning, he got up, went to the kitchen, and started making coffee. Scrambled eggs, toast, bacon. He didn't know why he was doing all this for a stranger, but he felt it was the right thing to do. Around 7:30, he heard movement in the living room. She was waking up. James dried his hands on the dish towel and walked to the kitchen door, watching. The young woman opened her eyes slowly, blinking several times. She looked around, confused. She looked at her own clothes. She looked at the blanket. And then she saw James standing there in an apron with a spatula in his hand. Her face changed. It became tense, frightened. Where am I?" James took a step forward slowly, as if not wanting to startle an injured animal. "You're in my house. You showed up at my door last night asking for help. Don't you remember?" She frowned, trying to recall. Nothing. She brought her hands to her face, rubbed her eyes. Her voice came out low, almost embarrassed. People. James understood immediately. "No, none of that happened. You were almost fainting from the cold. I just brought you inside, covered you up, and kept watch over you all night. That's all." She looked at him as if she couldn't believe it, as if she were expecting a trick. But James's eyes were sincere. Tired, but sincere. "Why? Why did you do that?" He shrugged with a half smile. "Because you asked for help, and I wasn't going to let you freeze to death on my doorstep." Silence. She lowered her gaze, nervously fidgeting with her hands. I don't really remember what happened yesterday. I was at a party, I think. I drank too much. I don't know how I ended up here." James nodded slowly. He knew this story well. "Very well. Are you hungry? I made breakfast." She hesitated, but the smell of the food won out. She nodded. James went back to the kitchen and brought 2 plates. He sat back down in the armchair, letting her stay on the sofa. They ate in silence for a few minutes. She was the one who broke the silence. "My name is Olivia." "James." More silence. Then she took a deep breath as if gathering courage. "Look, I know you don't know me and I don't know you, but thank you. Really. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't helped me." James nodded. "Do you have somewhere to go? Someone to pick you up?" Olivia looked at the plate. The food had suddenly lost its taste. "I have it, but I don't know if I want to go back there." He noticed the sadness in her voice. He didn't force it. He just waited. And then she began to speak. Slowly, her voice choked with emotion as if each word hurt. "I grew up in a complicated house. My parents were addicts, to drugs, alcohol, everything. They were always fighting. I was just a child, but I already understood that it wasn't normal, you know? That other families weren't like that. I saw my friends with their parents, everyone happy, and I'd come home and it was just shouting, doors slamming, things breaking." James stopped eating. He just listened. Olivia continued, wiping away a tear that stubbornly threatened to fall. "So I started running away. Literally. I'd leave the house and spend hours on the street just to avoid seeing it. I'd go to friends' houses, go to parties, anywhere was better than that house. And that's when everything went wrong, you know? Because the people I met on the street, they were doing exactly the same thing my parents were doing." She gave a bitter laugh. "I hated my parents for using drugs, for drinking, for destroying our family. And I ended up becoming exactly like them. I started going to parties, drinking, using drugs, hanging out with guys I barely knew. Sometimes I don't even remember what happened the night before. It's like I'm on autopilot, you know? Just living, or rather just existing." Her voice broke. Tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. "I don't want to live like this. I swear I don't. But I don't know how to get out of it. It's like I'm trapped in a cycle. And every time I try to change, I end up back in the same place." James felt a tightness in his chest. He knew that feeling. Very well. He put the plate aside, leaned forward, his hands clasped together. Olivia wiped her face with the back of her hand, embarrassed to be confiding in a stranger like that. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't be telling you all this." "No." James's voice came out firm but gentle. "Yes, you should. And you know why? Because I've been exactly where you are now." Olivia looked up, surprised. "You?" James nodded, a sad half-smile on his face. "I was born into a Christian family. My parents were people of faith. They raised me in the church. They taught me about God, about right and wrong. But when I went to college, I don't know, I wanted to see the world, you know? I made new friends, and these friends took me to parties. At first it was just fun. A beer here, another there. But it became routine. And I drifted away from everything I knew. From the church, from my family, from God." He paused, as if reliving those days. "I used to live exactly like you live now. Parties every week, drinking, empty relationships. I thought I was happy, but deep down I was lost. Completely lost. And how did you get out of that?" James smiled, this time a genuine smile. "Sarah." He pointed to a photo on the shelf. A woman with brown hair, a wide smile, and eyes full of life. She was everything I wasn't. She had unwavering faith, a giant heart. We met at a party, ironically. She was there because her friend had insisted, but you could tell she didn't belong there. We talked all night. And she didn't judge me, you know? She didn't come with that, 'you're wrong, you need to change' talk. She just was herself, and that attracted me." Olivia listened, fascinated. She started taking me to church. At first I only went because I wanted to be near her. But over time, something changed inside me. I began to understand that the life I was leading wasn't a real life. It was just an escape. I was running from myself, from the emptiness I felt, and trying to fill it with things that would never truly satisfy me. He looked at Olivia with an intensity she had never seen in anyone. It was when I returned to God that I understood who I truly was, and it was when I married Sarah that I discovered what it meant to be truly happy. "Is she your wife?" James lowered his gaze. The pain was still fresh. It was. She passed away a year ago. Cancer. We were married for 15 years. The best 15 years of my life. "I'm really sorry." "Thank you." He took a deep breath. "But I told you all this because I want you to know that it's possible to get out of this life. I got out, and if you want, I can help you." Olivia stared at him, incredulous. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." "Because someone did this for me." And because I believe God put you on my doorstep for a reason." Tears streamed down Olivia's face again, but this time they were different tears. Tears of something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. "I want to change. I swear I do, but I don't know if I can." "You can do it, but you need to really want it. Because it won't be easy. There will be days when you'll want to give up. There will be moments when the desire to go back to your old life will be strong. But if you hold on to God, if you trust the process, you will succeed." Olivia wiped her face and nodded slowly. "What do I need to do?" James thought for a moment. "First, you need to distance yourself from the people and places that drag you down. Do you have somewhere to stay?" She shook her head. "I live with some friends, but they're exactly the type of people you're talking about. Parties every weekend, drugs, alcohol. Then you can stay here." Olivia's eyes widened. "What? No, I can't accept that. You've already done too much for me. I have a guest room. You can stay there for as long as you need, until you get yourself organized, find a job, get back on track. But there's a condition. Which? You have to really want to change. No partying, no drinking, no drugs, and you're coming to church with me every Sunday." Olivia hesitated. It was a lot to process. A stranger offering his home help a second chance. It seemed too good to be true. But when she looked into James's eyes, she saw only sincerity and weariness. The weariness of someone who has suffered so much but who still chooses to do good. "Okay, I accept." And that's how it began. Olivia went to pick up some clothes from her friend's house, who of course didn't understand anything, and tried to convince her to stay. But for the first time in years, Olivia said no. She went back to James's house and settled into the guest room. A simple room, but clean and welcoming. There was a Bible on the bedside table. The first few days were strange. Olivia wasn't used to routine, to silence, to a house without shouting or loud music. James worked as an accountant, so he spent the day away from home. But every night he would come back, make dinner, and the two of them would talk. He would read the Bible to her, explain verses, and talk about God in a way she had never heard before. On the first Sunday, he took her to church. Olivia was nervous, thinking everyone would judge her. But the people were welcoming. The pastor spoke about forgiveness, about new beginnings. Olivia felt as if that message was directed at her. But it wasn't easy. Far from it. In the second week, she woke up in the middle of the night with an uncontrollable urge to go out, to go to a party, to drink until she forgot everything. She sat up in bed, sweating and trembling. She picked up her phone and saw messages from old friends inviting her out. Her finger hovered over the reply button. That's when he heard a light knock on the door. "Olivia, are you okay?" It was James. Olivia dropped her cell phone.
Yes, I am. May I come in?"
She hesitated but said yes. James opened the door slowly, went in and sat in the corner chair. "Can't sleep?" Olivia shook her head, tears returning. "I want to get out, James. I really want to. My body is begging for it. It's like I can't breathe properly in here." He nodded, understanding. "I know how it is. I've been through it too." "How did you endure it?" "Prayer, and remembering why I wanted to change. Every time the urge came, I prayed. Sometimes out loud, sometimes just in my head, and it worked. I don't know how to pray. Then pray with me." And there, at 3 a.m, James prayed with Olivia. He asked for strength for her. He asked God to help her win that battle. And when he finished, Olivia felt lighter, as if something had been lifted from within her. She fell asleep. And the next day, the urge was still there, but weaker. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And Olivia began to change. Slowly but surely. She got a job at a coffee shop. Nothing glamorous, but it was honest work. She woke up early, went to work, came back, had dinner with James, read the Bible, prayed. On Sundays, she went to church. She was baptized 3 months after arriving at his house. But the big turning point came in the 5th month. Olivia was walking home from work when she saw someone sitting on the steps of James's house. As she got closer, her heart nearly stopped. It was her mother. Linda, at 52, looked 70. Too thin, wrinkled skin, thinning hair. But it was her eyes that hurt. Deep-set, lifeless eyes. Olivia hadn't seen her in over 3 years. "Mother?" Linda looked up and for a moment didn't recognize her daughter. Olivia was different. Healthier, more alive. "Olivia, my daughter!" Her voice was hoarse, broken. Olivia felt a mixture of anger and compassion. She wanted to scream, to ask why she had let things get to this point, but at the same time she wanted to hug her. to tell her that everything would be all right. "What are you doing here? How did you find me? Your friends told me where you were. I needed to see you." Olivia looked around, unsure what to do. James wasn't home yet. She took a deep breath. "Come in." Linda entered slowly, looking around with wide eyes. The house was simple, but it was a home, something she had never been able to give her daughter. They sat down in the room. Heavy silence. Linda spoke first. "You're okay. You're different." "I'm trying to change my life, Mom." Linda nodded, her eyes filling with tears. "I want to change too." "Your father?" "He died, Olivia. Overdose. It's been 2 weeks." Olivia's world stopped. She didn't know how to feel. Part of her was sad. It was her father, after all. But another part felt relief. Relief that he wouldn't suffer anymore. That he finally had peace. "Mom, I know I was a terrible mother. I know, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I wanted to see you one last time before what?" Linda pulled a crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. A test result. Liver cirrhosis. Advanced stage. The doctors had given her 6 months. Olivia felt tears welling up. She took her mother's hand, bony and cold. "Mom, you can change. There's still time. You can..." "No, my daughter. I can't take it anymore. But I can for you. And I came here to ask for your forgiveness. For everything. For not being the mother you deserved. For leaving you alone when you needed me most. For being so selfish and only thinking of myself." Olivia couldn't speak. She just cried. Linda continued. "But I also came to tell you that I'm proud of you. Truly. You managed to get out of that life. You managed to be strong. You are everything I couldn't be." That's when the door opened and James walked in. He stopped when he saw the two of them there, hugging and crying. He understood immediately. "Sorry, I didn't know that. James, this is my mother." "Mom, this is James. He saved me." Linda looked at James with gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you for taking care of my daughter. Thank you for doing what I was never able to do." James approached and knelt beside them. "Do you want to change? Because if you do, we can help." Linda smiled, a sad smile. "It's too late for me. But it's not too late for me to do the right thing. Olivia, I want you to forgive me. Not because I deserve it, but because you deserve to live without this burden." And there, in that room, Olivia did something she never imagined she would be capable of doing. She forgave. She forgave her mother. She forgave her father. She forgave herself. Linda stayed at the house for 3 more days. James arranged a place for her to sleep, cooked for her, and read the Bible to her. And on the 3rd day, Linda accepted Jesus. She was baptized on the 4th day in a small ceremony at the church. She was weak, barely able to stand, but her smile was genuine. She died 2 months later, but she died peacefully, and Olivia was able to say goodbye. After that, something changed between James and Olivia. It was no longer just a supportive relationship. It was something deeper. They had been through so much together, shared so many tears, so many prayers, and without realizing it, they had fallen in love. It was James who noticed first. He was in the kitchen making dinner when Olivia arrived home from work, all excited because she had been promoted to cafeteria manager. She jumped into his arms laughing, and he hugged her back. And in that moment, smelling her hair, hearing her laughter, he knew. He had fallen in love, but he was afraid of ruining everything, afraid she wouldn't feel the same way, afraid he was betraying Sarah's memory. It was Olivia who took the first step. 2 months after her mother's death, she was returning from college. She had gone back to studying law, her long-held dream, and stopped in front of James, who was reading the Bible in his armchair. "James, I need to tell you something." He looked at her, worried. "It is good too?" "Okay, it's just that, I don't know how to say this, but I fell in love with you." The silence that followed seemed to last an eternity. James stared at her, speechless. Olivia continued, the words coming out quickly, nervously. "I know you were married. I know you still love your wife. I know I'm here because of your kindness and not because... But I can't pretend I don't feel this way anymore. You changed my life, James. You showed me what true love is, God's love, and I..." He stood up, walked over to her, and kissed her. A soft kiss full of meaning. When they parted, he smiled. "I love you too, Olivia. I think I've loved you for a long time, but I was afraid to admit it. And Sarah? Sarah taught me how to love. And I know she would want me to be happy again. She would like you. They started dating. They took their time without rushing. Olivia finished college, passed the bar exam, and became a lawyer. James continued working as an accountant. 2 years later, he proposed to her in the same church where she had been baptized. They married in a beautiful ceremony, surrounded by friends from church, her work colleagues, and his family. Olivia wore a simple white dress, but she looked radiant. James cried when he saw her walk in. 3 years later, they had their first child, a boy. They named him Samuel, which means God has heard, because God had heard their prayers. Today, 7 years after that cold night when Olivia appeared at the door, they live in a larger house with 2 children, Samuel and Grace. Olivia has her own law office, working primarily on addiction cases, helping people who are going through what she went through. James continues to work but also helps at church, coordinating a support group for those trying to overcome drug addiction. And every night before going to sleep, they thank God for that cold night, for that whispered cry for help, for having found each other when they needed it most. Because sometimes God puts people at our door for us to help, and sometimes in helping we end up being saved as well. Those whispered words changed everything. It was a cold winter night in Nashville, Tennessee, and James didn't expect to find a young woman unconscious on his doorstep. Messy blonde hair, clubbing clothes, her body shivering with cold, and that lost look in her eyes as she whispered for help. He didn't know that by opening that door he was about to relive his own story, and that this stranger would become the most important person in his life. A story about second chances, about finding God in the most unexpected places, and about how an act of compassion can transform 2 lives forever.